You are now streaming Smacking Off the podcast. You can keep up with our current activity on Facebook at Smacking Off or Smackologists. Find us on YouTube at Smacking Off the podcast. And stay right where you are. More Smacking Off the podcast is headed your way.
Hey, this is Kyle Golick of the Smacking Off the podcast. I'm at the Basketball Hall of Fame. You don't need to come to Springfield, Massachusetts. We got our own Hall of Fame analyst in Dr. Balls.
Dr. Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the podcast.
Dr. Balls, the state of college hoops.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Smacking Off the podcast. I'm Dr. Balls. I'm here with our producer, Doug Phillips, key contributors, Ed Scrivener, and Mr. Sean Devine.
How you doing, Doc?
All right. Well, so this is an interesting week for college basketball, guys. There's all kinds of stuff.
It is. I've been pissing off Alabama fans for a couple of days, and I'm an Alabama fan. So,
So what have you been telling them, Doug?
Telling them what I think. I don't think we're getting past UNC. I don't think this is the year. I'm really excited about Nate Oates, but I don't think this is the year. But
Well,
prove me wrong, and I'll be ecstatic, and I'll be the one blowing party favors on the next episode.
Well, the Tar Heels are not going to try to slow them down, which helps Alabama.
yeah, I agree with that. And then Alabama played an ugly game. I mean, in the previous game against Grand Canyon, that was one of the ugliest basketball games I've ever seen. It was one of the most physical basketball games I've ever seen. I thought I was watching the Pistons, and I really didn't expect them to play that style. But now that I've seen that they can do it if they really want to, then I find it intriguing against North Carolina, because North Carolina's a team that has lots of players that have been around a long time and are really good, but losers can be around a long time too. And I just love to see Alabama upset them, even though I love an experienced team in the NCAA tournament, and it's been chalk so far. What do you think, Sean? You think it's been chalk so far? Oh, are you with us, Sean?
I don't hear Sean.
I don't hear Sean.
I'll jump in. So you got two teams that played pretty poor defense throughout the regular season that have stepped up their D lately. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And I like Alabama didn't shoot well in the last game, right? And if they're a team that cycles well shooting wise, and they're an up and down team shooting wise, which they've pretty much been all year, then if it's an up game for them, we could have a high scoring game in the 90s on both sides, I think.
Grand Canyon's no joke either.
No, they was rough. They was rough too, and Alabama got rough with them, and there was so much foul trouble, and that's what really killed Grand Canyon in the end, because they were playing tough with them. Everybody was on the floor on every possession. It's the reason you watch college basketball. It was a great game, in my opinion. And so I'd like to see if that same effort against UNC, because I didn't see that same consistent effort, and that's where I agree with you, Doug.
Sean?
Can you gents hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
StreamYard decided to go ahead and fuck you right out of the gate.
Right. No, I did hear your point, though. And the one thing about Alabama and North Carolina, Alabama doesn't have to be the best team in the country next, Thursday night or Friday night, whenever that game is. They just have to be the best
Thursday.
team.
Yeah.
They just have to be the best team for 40 minutes. And their two games that they've won thus far, they've won in completely different styles. They had a high-scoring affair with College of Charleston, and then they had that, as Bob said, that kind of Detroit Pistons style, grindy, physical game against
Rock
fight against Grand Canyon. So if you're North Carolina, you better be paying attention to Alabama, because if they start hitting threes, look out. Look out.
Well, UNC knows that Bama beat them in 22, so there's going to be that. I mean,
And
Well,
and
that always
the,
escalates, and I love it.
the exciting man, if we got an Alabama Clemson regional final, which you'd normally reserve for football, but instead we get it in basketball. Oh man,
So you give Clemson a chance of upsetting Arizona?
absolutely. I've seen Arizona lose enough games this year where, sure, if Clemson gets hot, they could definitely pull off the upset.
That
Arizona
would
is
that
one
would
of
definitely
the
be an oddity, wouldn't it?
It would definitely be odd. I mean, on paper, Arizona's stacked, but I mean, they've lost a lot of games this year. That were head scratchers.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Clemson's physical too.
Arizona is one of the remaining Jekyll and Hyde teams like Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, it's same. I mean, what Tennessee are you going to get? You're going to get the one we've seen thus far in the tournament, or the one that quickly left the SEC tournament.
I agree. And something in Clemson's favor in that game is in a regular season game with less TV timeouts, Arizona could use their depth to beat a team like Clemson in a close game, but they won't have that advantage because in the NCAA tournament, the TV timeouts are few. I mean, are many and long, right? So
Right.
the foul trouble's the real trouble for a team like Clemson against Arizona. So
That's good for the players, Bob, but it's bad for you and I at home. Tell me this weekend you just felt like every 5 seconds we were inundated with commercials.
that and players' parents, right? We went, of course, I'd love it if I was a parent. Oh, my kid's in there. But certain players' parents and commercials, I saw almost as much of that as basketball.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the other thing is just these start times for some of these games. Goodness gracious! I mean, you're talking a 10 p.m. tip for those viewers in the Eastern time zone. I mean, wow.
Oh, yeah, that's what
Every
happened
year.
again with Illinois and Iowa State. And I feel for kids that see, I grew up watching the NCAA tournament, and a lot of it was on Saturdays and Sundays in the day. And it was,
Yeah, I mean, in the past, they weren't as opposed to having a lot of these games overlap, time wise. Now they're trying to stretch them out. Well, the tip times are reflecting that, and it's bad for the kids, and it's bad for anybody in the Eastern or Central time zone if you want to get up at a decent hour the next morning.
and that's what's killed boxing too. Not only has pay-per-view made boxing a lot of money, but the fact that you have to pay for it and the fact that it comes on very late means that kids don't get to see whoever the new Ali Frazier is. I watched the Wide World of Sports, and I seen those fights like that, and they were inspirational to me. And I really love boxing, and I still do, but I don't get the same feeling out of it. And you can't get new fans unless they're exposed to it. And
Right.
Tell me this, Bob. Did you see Randall Tex Cobb versus Larry Holmes on
yes, I did.
Yes,
did.
that was a fucking fight. I mean, it wasn't a great fight. It wasn't a great fight in terms of like competitive, but
Right.
But Randall Tex Cobb hung in there for, was it 15 rounds back then?
Oh yeah, well, see, what it was is Holmes' style lent himself to that because even though Tex Holmes Tex wasn't nothing but a bruiser and a brawler. Holmes was a strategic fighter, and he loved a long fight and to conserve his energy and wear you out. And so it kind of played into Holmes, but you got to give old Dude credit, man, for hanging in there.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. If you've seen Pet Detective, the first Ace Ventura, everybody knows that Randall Tex Cobb is a national treasure.
Oh yeah, he's awesome, man. I love dudes like that. And I think of the dudes that talk smack to Tyson, like what was it, the Truth Williams that talked smack, and he come out and he fought good for like a round and a half. And then Tyson hit him that one good time and just destroyed him.
That was the British heavyweight champion back in the day.
Yeah, and he had talked a whole lot.
No. Sorry, I'm wrong. I'm thinking of Frank Bruno.
Oh, Frank Bruno, yeah, he talked a whole lot of smack too.
Same shit, and that's why I got them mixed up. But Carl the Truth Williams, same thing.
Yeah, so that was a horrible idea, and that's why now I don't have any respect for Lennox Lewis, guys. I got to run this past you since all y'all are seasoned sports fans. I know we're talking college basketball, but this is very important to me. And Sean, so I never felt that Lennox Lewis was a legitimate champion because he hid from a Holyfield until Holyfield was an old man. How do y'all feel about that?
I mean, he handled Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, for his style, was way over the hill at that point.
Yes.
I always liked Lennox Lewis. I don't know what kind of boxer he was. I mean, he did have a career that put him in the right places at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
I'm not going to say anything bad about him, though.
But he did duck Holyfield until he was an old man. And until Holyfield was an old man. I mean, we're talking years and years. He ducked Holyfield.
Tyson didn't duck him. Tyson bit that fucking ear off. Dude.
Oh, no, Tyson didn't duck him. I mean, Tyson didn't duck nobody. I mean,
we've seen that a lot in boxing, guys not fighting good fighters, and then, the different media outlets preventing those fights. So, yeah, I mean, he's not the only one, but it is what it is.
It's important. But anyway, I love the boxing game. I thought it was great, but like many things in sports, it's been perverted in a lot of ways, and it feels less legitimate, right? But that's in college basketball, though. We're watching this shit, and it's playing out in a big way. And people are down on the floor that I ain't seen on the floor all season, like Alabama, and they're getting rough and ugly about there, which I kind of like. And the competitiveness is just over the top, guys. That's why this is one of the biggest TV events there is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and we've watched it since the beginning, since the Maui Invitational. All my brackets are garbage, so it proves how much I've learned. Not a lot, but
you know what happens when you actually hit on these things. You just get lucky, because I mean some of it's skill, but most of it's luck. Sean knows that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went 14 and 18 on my main bracket. Not great. I should have known this year would be, like we talked about earlier, a kind of an overcorrection to chalk. And I didn't have a lot of chalk. I went with a lot of upsets, so such is life. But regardless of my brackets, really enjoying the tournament, really enjoying the games. For the most part, they've all been really good. There have been some blowouts. That's going to happen. But, I mean, one of the key talking points that I heard, when we kind of closed business Sunday night, got to stop writing the ACC off.
Although, yeah.
They were kind of slighted all year during the regular season. And, well, now as we sit here, they had 5 teams enter the tournament. They got 4 sitting in the Sweet 16.
Oh, and I like NC State. They're gritty.
There was a joke on one of the talk shows the other day. So NC State, to get in the tournament, had to win the ACC tournament. And it was held in Washington, D.C. this year at the Washington Wizards Arena. NC State won 5 games in 5 days. And the joke was they've won more games in that building this year than the Wizards have all year. And the Wizards have played like 60 games or something, 40 games or something in that building.
It's close.
It's close.
But, what a run by NC State. They get past Texas Tech, and they thought, Kentucky'd be waiting for them. And then, Bob, what happened?
It didn't happen, man. Kentucky, they're just not. Everybody played one-on-one basketball. When there was ball moving, it didn't make sense, and they didn't prepare. Coaching-wise, you have to say, if you looked at the game and analyzed Kentucky, they didn't prepare for the zone. They weren't prepared at all. I don't think they were prepared coaching-wise. And I'm not just saying this because I want Calipari fired, because I do, right?
So what's going on with that? I mean, there's been enough time go by. We should be hearing something, shouldn't we?
So here's what the process has been so far. So on Monday, his biggest supporters were on all the different Kentucky sports radio programs, including Kentucky Sports Radio, people such as Matt Jones and so forth. Everybody but Bennett that we had on the show, by the way. Of course, Bennett's been fired Calipari for 2 or 3 years, but so even Matt Jones, a shield for ESPN, right, is ready to fire Calipari. And then he had so they were supposed to meet about it today, but it didn't happen. Calipari put out a statement basically saying that he'd do better next year, and he basically gaslighted everybody and made one final power play at Kentucky. Well, and in that statement, he mentioned how he and athletic director Mitch Barnhart always talk about the season on a certain date every year, right? And I guess they claim tomorrow's going to be that day. So evidently the come to Jesus moment is going to happen for Calipari tomorrow with AD Mitch Barnhart. So I don't know what'll happen.
So he did a little Wolf of Wall Street and said, "I'm not fucking leaving."
Yeah, I think he may try that. But
So we'll find out tomorrow whether Coach Cal stays or goes, kind of, right,
My
Bob?
prediction is
yes,
that he stays.
I
you
think
know
he's
what?
going to stay. I agree. I think there's just too much talent there. But I would not to twist the knife in, Bob, but Oakland beating Kentucky in basketball is sort of, and I'll twist that knife into Ed a little bit. Is Appalachian State beating Michigan in football?
Oh, I
I
agree.
mean, and the two
I'm
kind
over
of tie
that by
together
now.
because Oakland is located, in Michigan, in Auburn Hills.
Oh well, Calipari's been responsible for the two worst losses in Kentucky history, right? One to Robert Morris,
Yeah.
and then this game right here, and it's just unacceptable. I mean, for people that don't follow college basketball or aren't as deep into it as I'm, Sean, and some others are, Kentucky is a program that expects a certain amount of success, right?
Is one of the bluest of blue bloods, without a
That's
doubt.
absolutely right. And we can get the kind of coaches it takes. People that you would think preposterous would consider coaching Kentucky, but people that could coach Kentucky also don't want to be in that spotlight because
It's a cauldron, man. It's a cauldron of pressure.
a cauldron of pressure. That's right. And
The,
that's what.
the expectations in Lexington for Kentucky basketball it's one of the toughest jobs in basketball, period.
And then Rick Pitino even took homegrown players on probation and directly off probation and won with them. Right. I mean, and you can get the players you want. If you're the right coach of Kentucky, you can definitely get the players you want.
It's
You can
not a
run
lack of talent. I mean, you think about this. They mentioned it during the broadcast. I think they said Oakland's highest ranked recruited player was maybe a 3-star, and Kentucky had five-star McDonald's All-Americans on their roster. I mean, that's
Oh yeah,
insane. So it's not for a lack of talent; it's a lack of cohesion.
that's
The
exactly it.
problem is that 33 million as a buyout. I don't think we've ever seen something like
That's
that
a big
in
number. That
college
is a big
basketball.
number. I,
Yes,
I think you give him one more year, and then that buyout number will drop. If he doesn't get the job done next year, I think then you'll see a change. But
And
33 million is a lot of money.
I don't
that's
think you'll ever hear the phrase "fired" with him. It would end up as a mutual parting of the ways.
Yeah,
well, they've
I
never
mean,
fired anybody but Billy Gillespie, right? So even Tubby Smith, Joby Hall, those guys, right? They told the company, right? You see what I'm saying?
it,
They they
it
never
would be
said
tough to fire the last SEC head coach to win a national championship, and right now that's John Calipari.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
but
I mean,
if you could hire the last coach before him to win multiple national championships in the SC in the from the SEC right
we know
now,
you want Billy Donovan. We know it, Bob. We know it.
it's down here for Chicago by their standards, and there's a
Bob,
little.
where are you at today?
Oh, I'm in South Bend, by the way, Sean. I threw you
Yeah.
find
So
out
you're
you're
not that far. You're not that far from Chicago.
yeah.
So
Let
you're
me tell
gonna
you how
go
deep
plead
this
his,
goes.
gonna go
Behind
plead your
me.
case to Billy Donovan.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
We-
can make a direct appeal. But directly behind this vehicle I'm sitting in, right, is the varsity club for Notre Dame.
It's a good spot. It's a good spot. You should, if you haven't toured campus, you should go give it a whirl.
I would like to do that if I'm able to. I don't know if my schedule's going to allow it, but if I'm able to, I would love to do that.
But
And then I drove. I see you can see touchdown Jesus from the road.
nice. Well, let's pivot from Kentucky's coaching situation now. FAU, the darling Final Four team from last year, was bounced by Northwestern, and immediately Michigan made a phone call. Ed, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was unrealistic to expect that they would make the kind of run they made last year because they had people's attention and they didn't quite have the same team. But
Sure.
I think it's a very, very good hire. He apparently, May, is already putting in significant work to improve the NIL situation.
Now you're okay that they instead of they let go of a true Michigan man for a Indiana man.
Well, 8-24 is 8-24. Okay,
Sure.
I mean that's a bad record that you can't justify. because if you keep him with that record, you have to make it known that, hey, this is your last year if you don't turn it around. And that's never a good situation for the team or for the coach to be in.
Right.
So
I think Ward
they made
Manuel did. I think
you
Ward
know,
Manuel did a very. He escorted Juwan Howard off the program in a very polite and professional way.
yeah, and I mean, you had the issue with the Wisconsin coach, and
Yeah.
then he was under a zero tolerance policy after apparently going to a spa in India for anger management. And then there was the issue with the strength coach leaving, and apparently there was a blow up, but that didn't get any other press other than something happened.
Yeah.
So it is a real tough sell to the fan base to keep him around. And if he had kept him around and they had another bad year, then Ward was looking at a pink slip himself.
Right. Yeah, he had to get ahead of it, and I think Dusty May is a great hire. I think he'll do well for Michigan. He'll get you guys restored to the program that you are.
People were saying that Manuel needed to go because Harbaugh left. There was nothing they could do to keep Harbaugh because he wanted to chase the Lombardi Trophy. That's it.
I agree. I don't disagree with you there either. I don't think it wouldn't matter how much money Ward Manuel offered. When you have a dream, a goal, you're going to follow those dreams and goals. So I can't blame him for that. And I think he did a great job with the transition between Coach Howard and now Coach May. And I think May is going to do a great thing at Michigan. I think, you guys will be back at the top of the Big Ten. You have a very fertile recruiting ground in your backyard. So I think things will be well for Michigan.
I'm not convinced next year will be that great because he's really taking a mess.
Sure.
Well, guys, hold that thought, and we'll be back in soon.
Find us on the web at smackology.42web.io. There you can find our latest episode, or you can support the podcast by following our affiliate links at the top of the page. You can even buy some awesome Smacking Off merchandise. Again, that is smackology.42web.io.
We're here at Commonwealth Stadium, representing for the Kentucky Wildcats, right against Georgia Bulldogs, right? And I'm live here, and there's fun and excitement going on. I know you can see that. This is Smacking Off, the podcast.
Hi, we're Fiverr, a global marketplace connecting individuals and businesses with freelancers offering thousands of digital services. Graphic design, web development, video editing, e-commerce marketing. You name it, there's a professional freelancer ready to make it happen. Filter your search by the service needed, budget, timeline, and boom! Fiverr provides a list of talented freelancers to meet your specific needs. Always know what you'll pay up front. No hourly rates, just project-based pricing. And because payment isn't released until you approve the work, you can rest assured that you'll be satisfied with the quality and get exactly what you want. Our support team is always available to answer questions or offer assistance when you need it. With the whole world of freelance talent at your fingertips, what might you achieve? Join today and find out. Fiverr. It starts here.
So, right out of the gate, out of this commercial, let me just go ahead and say that Fiverr is awesome as shit. But we haven't made a penny on the podcast yet, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
What is it? Yeah. I wasn't paying attention.
No, I mean, you can go and sell your services. Anything you're good at on a computer, you can go sell on Fiverr. And you'd be surprised at the people who are willing to pay you to do some shit that, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, who would pay somebody to do this? I can do this in my fucking sleep. They're there.
Well, I don't think my body will generate much income.
Oh, no.
No, I think he meant computer skills, Ed.
No, you need that. What do you call that? I'm sure Pike's got one, right?
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yes, you need an OnlyFans page, Ed.
Fully clothed.
I'd stick with the sports, Ed.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
I'd do it. It'd be like I'd have Conway Twitty playing in the background, you know.
Yeah.
So
hey, don't make fun of Conway Twitty. He's fucking awesome.
Well, he is awesome. That's why he was playing in the background.
So, the one thing we got to talk about our Ken Palm 8, that statistic we talked about that holds true since 2002. Everybody that's in that Ken Palm 8 group, which is if you were in the top 20 offensive adjusted efficiency and top 40 defensive adjusted efficiency, we did take a loss over the opening weekend from our 8. So those 8, and remember that stat holds 2002 to present. Everybody that's been in that category, a team has won the national title from that group. So we started off with 8, and that was Arizona, UConn, North Carolina, Houston, Purdue, Tennessee, Marquette, and our lone loser were the Auburn Tigers. And I know Doug's not, he's not sad about that. Lost to the pride of the Ivy League, Yale. But the other 7 remain, and they, here and there, not too much struggles. And I will say, people said Houston struggled, but actually, I give Houston a lot of credit. Fun stat out of the Houston Texas A&M game, which was a heck of a barn burner, by the way. Houston was the first team since UTEP in 1987 to win a tournament game after having 4 players foul out.
Damn.
And that shows you the resilience in the players at Houston and the kind of the culture that Kelvin Sampson's built there. So I found that fact interesting.
And the depth.
And the depth of that.
Single-handedly won that game in overtime.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was a heck of a game. Kudos to Buzz and the Aggies. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at Houston. That was a great game. That was one of the best games so far.
And Texas A&M really improves the team over the year. And they were initially at the beginning of the year in some publications as a ranked team, and then they kind of fell off a little bit. But by the end of the season, they had tightened up. They beat Kentucky. They had a tough game against Houston at the end of the year. Hats off to Texas A&M, just like you're saying.
I mean, and no one was picking them in their first game against Nebraska. And I said, I think A&M is going to handle Nebraska with no problem, and they really did. But kudos to Buzz, his group. I think Texas A&M is a program we're going to have to keep an eye on next fall when basketball starts up again. He's definitely built a program down there. But Houston, the dream, continues. And it seems like every year Houston keeps kind of knocking at the door. Maybe this year will be the year they break through. That intrigued me. What else? No Cinderellas. There are no Cinderellas left. The only hope we had was Oakland, and they lost to NC State. So to me, what we have in the Sweet 16, we have heavyweights across the board. I don't think
teams that are
Cinderella. They lost
real quick, guys, and we got to mention this because we'll forget it if we don't. Speaking of Cinderellas, Nebraska still has not won a tournament game.
They have not.
In their whole fucking existence.
They're the only power conference team to not win an NCAA tournament game. There are a couple other teams that have been as many or more times, but haven't won a game. I think I have the stat here. Let me see here. Along with Nebraska, that have yet to win a tournament game.
I thought UTEP was one of those teams, but maybe not.
I would consider
no. It's Eastern Kentucky and Boise State are the other two. But Nebraska is the only one in a power conference that hasn't won a tournament game yet.
And one of the problems back in the day is that conferences only got one bid, and there were only so many at-large bids when it was a 48-team tournament.
Right.
And it was a 48-team tournament for over half the history of the NCAA. So there were teams that got knocked out in the conference tournament that were like number 1 teams throughout the history of the game of their year or whatever. In the days of the 48-team tournament, right? So only conference champions got into the NCAA tournament, except for a few at-larges. So now there's more opportunity to get to the tournament. So that makes it even stranger that those teams, especially Nebraska's never won one. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got another fun fact. So starting this Sweet 16, we get our first rematch of a national championship game from the year prior. We haven't seen that since 2008 when UCLA played Florida. I believe that was in the Final Four. In UConn against San Diego State, which was
that's interesting as hell.
Will San Diego State have enough firepower, along with obviously they're going to have the revenge factor from last year, and I think that'll be a great game. Their lone problem is that's a road game, not a neutral game. They're playing that game in Boston. You think that's going to be a pro UConn crowd?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
I don't think UConn's going to have any trouble.
UConn hasn't had to get on a plane yet. Their first two games were in New York City. That's not too bad of a drive from Storrs, Connecticut, to the west. And then now they go a couple hours to the east, driving up to Boston, to play at where the Celtics play. So, I mean, if UConn loses this game, I think it'll be somewhat of a big upset if San Diego State can pull this off.
That would be a huge upset.
Not to take anything away from San Diego State, because we know the coaching is there. Brian Dutcher has done a great job with that program. These past 5 years, I think 6 years, he's been the head coach there now.
Yep.
But that's intriguing that we haven't had a national championship game rematch now, and this will be the first time in 17 years.
Damn, back to the days of Ed O'Bannon, and they who was the whole reason that we no longer have, even though he played college basketball, he was the whole reason that we no longer have NCAA football on a video game, right?
Well, we're getting it back just a little differently.
Oh yeah.
And I think they mentioned on a broadcast his son is playing for a team. I missed which team it was because I was flipping around on the television, but so we start there in the East. Let's go down the East. Two power conference teams going to play each other, and they rarely ever play each other non-conference, even though they're not very far apart. Illinois and Iowa State. This is a very intriguing game.
That's going to be a war.
Yes.
And
tell us why.
Tough to call that one.
Well, the guards are so good for Illinois, but I love the defensive effort at Iowa State, and both of those teams are gritty, and Illinois is wanting respect all the time. Well, this is their chance because Iowa State's a well-coached team. They play great defense. There's going to be lots of eyes on them. If Illinois wants to elevate the Big Ten and nationally, this is their chance. And Iowa State wants the same thing, guys. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Two great coaches in Hoiberg and Brad Underwood for both programs. Iowa State, to me, is better as a team, but Illinois has two superstars.
Hoiberg isn't there anymore, is he?
I thought he was. Isn't that?
No, he's at Nebraska.
Who's the guy at Iowa State now? Famous guy.
Well, that's the guy that disrespected Calipari, whose wife disrespected Calipari's wife a few years ago. I can't remember this guy's name.
Good catch on that one, Ed. I'm sorry.
I had to look him up because his wife disrespected Calipari's wife in the stands at the NCAA tournament like 2 or 3 years ago.
PJ Otzelberger. I apologize. My bad.
He has done a great job there.
I still had Nebraska on the brain.
I like Iowa State's team defense, though. To Ed's point, right? Their team defense for Iowa State is outstanding, and
it's very good. But what Illinois has that Iowa State doesn't is Illinois has those two superstars with the inside-outside game.
Yeah,
you have Terrence Shannon Jr., who's incredible.
Yeah, he's
and
tough.
Then you have Coleman Hawkins, who's really incredible, has really come along here in the last half of the season. I'm so excited for this game. I agree with Ed. I think it's going to be a war. I haven't looked at the line yet, but it can't be more than 2.5 or 3.
Well, Shannon's one of the best guards left in that bracket, along with Corey Sears in Alabama. Obviously,
and Shannon's a left-handed shooter. I noticed that. That throws guys off.
That's hard to deal with, and you just gotta, you still gotta use your body between them and the basket, but it's not the angles that you're familiar with. So your mind's got to stay on it, And if I was their guard, if I was guarding him, what I would do is I would go to his left hip and try to get as much lower body contact as I could as he was driving and funneling to the middle. Based on what I've seen out of his game.
You got to try to make him go to his right, which is
Right.
not normal. Most guys, you want to go left.
Right. So I would funnel him.
Who do
He
we think
would be
wins
coming
this
down
game,
the left.
gents?
So he's coming down the left side of the key, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to challenge him by getting my hips in him while we're both still moving. That way, if we get tangled up, either one of us could get the call, right? And they, and then hopefully that'll funnel him to the middle to Illinois' big man so he can throw it back in the stands. But that's what you got to do. I mean, against Illinois, let's just say Iowa State's big man that would have to be able to handle him. But they, both the guards at Illinois has impressed me, especially the willingness of the other guy to give the ball up, right?
Marcus Domas. I can't pronounce his last name, but yeah, Domas, I think, is a fifth-year senior. He's playing really well. He's kind of their point guard, and he kind of is the straw that stirs Illinois' drink on the offensive side of the ball. He distributes really well. We saw that when they beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game.
What was his name again, Sean?
Marcus Damask, I think it is.
I think that's closest anybody's going to get to it. But yes, I believe that's right.
So if you're drinking, then people think his name is Dumbass, right?
Domask is the
okay. Yeah. That K should help.
Well, NC State's got a guy whose last name is very close to diarrhea, so.
We don't want to talk about the football player that Sean knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We're not mentioning it.
No.
Craig's been playing pretty well, Sean. Craig's been playing pretty well.
Let's finish the East real quick. So we all have UConn beating San Diego State, yes?
I do.
I do
as well. Now we got to pick Illinois, Iowa State. Who we got?
I got Illinois.
I'd take an Illinois as well. I'll ride with you, Bob.
I'll go with Iowa State just to be a contrarian, but I wouldn't bet more than $5 on
it. So moving down to the bottom part of our left side, North Carolina, Alabama.
Man, I tell you what, I like Alabama's players, and I really like the coach here. I just think he's a good coach here, and he was the right choice, and he keeps proving it. But I don't know, man. I think it's Alabama's game. They haven't shot well all tournament. Yeah, if this is their game to shoot well, I think they can beat Alabama. But chalk always holds, so I'm gonna pick North Carolina.
I will pick North Carolina. I will be rooting hard for Alabama.
I'm gonna ride with Oates. He's been fiery, and he's got his guys finally paying attention on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they're due to have a breakout 3-point game. Give me the upset. Give me the Tide over North Carolina when they get to the regional final there in Los Angeles.
And as long as he's not selfish and he makes the right decisions, I also like.
Sears has been playing his tail off. I love that young man. I want to see
against Hubert Davis's son, right? I think Sears wins that matchup.
Yeah, I love Sears. I love his game. I want to see more of him, so I'm gonna roll with the Tide on that one.
So if anybody pops in that I pissed off here in the last few days, and I've had people call me bandwagon fan and all that of shit, but I've been watching Alabama basketball long enough to have enough fucking heartache for 100-year fucking life, and I have. But and somebody told me this: if Bama's going to pull this off, and we know that Oates is probably, if he hangs out long enough, he's going to get them to the Final Four.
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
At
Nate
the same
is
time,
one of the best coaches in the country, bar none.
Yes.
But and it's like the guy said, it's probably going to be a year like this when they get to the Final Four when nobody's expecting it. Well, right. I mean,
and North Carolina can be beat. We've seen that a number of times this year. This is not your typical North Carolina juggernaut. Michigan State, for whatever reason, just couldn't make a shot the last 7 minutes of that game. Otherwise, Michigan State might have got them.
Well, State was up and down all year.
Right. But, I mean, they matched up player for player, no problem. Their problem was the last 7 minutes of that game. nobody could hit water if they fell out of a boat in the Pacific Ocean. They were brick after brick after brick. If they make those shots, the game is closer than what it ended. The final score was.
So on this particular game, the way I'm going to say it is that Bama's going to probably play a great game. They're going to be up to the task, and they're still probably going to lose. And that's just me.
Well, you've seen a lot of heartbreak. Just
seeing exactly, and I think that North Carolina's got enough to pull this off. I think Bama will play a great game, and to anybody that's pisses off, I'm not saying that Oates is not going to do it, because he is.
I think he will. I think you got the right man there. You just got.
And if they beat North Carolina and they go into the Elite Eight, who knows? This could be the year. At that point, my whole narrative will change if Bama wins this game.
So let's move down. We talk about another, kind of similar matchup. You got Clemson against Arizona. What do we think, gentlemen?
I like Clemson in that game. I believe that Arizona's not going to be able to use their depth to beat Clemson, and so Clemson will be able to keep their main 5, 6, 7 guys mostly on the floor if they can stay out of fire trouble and still match up with Arizona at the end. And they're playing physical. The Pac-12's having a pretty good off season in their last year, but I'm with Clemson. I like Clemson. I've been watching Clemson, and I like Clemson in this game.
I got to disagree with you, Bob. The reason I say that, location, as we say in real estate, right? Short trip for the Wildcat faithful to LA, to the whatever they're calling what used to be the Staples Center. We know all the people in LA that didn't go to school at UCLA or USC, either go to Arizona or Arizona State. That building is going to be all Arizona Wildcat. It's a long way from it's a long way from Clemson, South Carolina to get to Los Angeles. And I think Arizona is just physically too talented. It's going to be close, but I think Arizona gets the game done.
I think we know the answer in the first 10 minutes. If Clemson's in it, they got a chance. If Arizona jumps on them, I don't think they're coming back.
Yeah, I think this is the year where Arizona doesn't disappoint like they normally do. I think they at least get to the Elite Eight.
Well, hell yeah.
All right, moving to the right side of our bracket.
Hold on 1 second, Sean. We're gonna do one more break, and then we'll come back and you finish up.
All right.
You are now watching or listening to Smacking Off the Podcast. If you love it, tell your friends about it. If you hate it, share it with your enemies.
It was just a small gift from Mummy and Daddy. One, however, that would spark a bit of an obsession. It started out innocent enough, as these things always do, but quickly lit the fuse to something bigger. Mum and Dad encouraged other activities, but alas, had to sell things almost as fast as they bought them. Friends and family thought it was cute. It's just a bit of fun, they said. It's just a phase, they said. Well, it's all fun and games until your child is 34, still lives at home, and absolutely nothing has changed. These things should really come with a warning label. Buy, sell, eBay.
What's up? Welcome back to the show, guys.
So here's a shout out to everybody who puts bacon in an air fryer and thinks it makes it healthy. Hey, you can make some damn bacon in an air fryer. That's the best fucking bacon you'll ever eat. But it's still coming right out of the pig's ass, right?
There you go.
We love bacon. Good, though. There's no bad bacon.
No, there isn't. Turkey bacon. Turkey bacon it's better. It's better than some things, but it ain't bacon.
It's not bacon. It's skim milk. Give me real milk. Give me real bacon. I'll deal with the angioplasty later in life.
So what's that town in?
Doug's right. If you just act like it's something else, it's not so bad.
Right.
So Ed, what's that town up in Michigan that has the no-go zones, right? Where it's run by Muslims and stuff like that. Is that East Lansing? Have you heard about that?
Say that again. I missed some of it.
There are towns in Michigan that I've seen on television where there are no-go zones for people that aren't Muslim, right? That are like completely taken over by Muslim immigrants or whatever they are, right? And I was just curious, right? Is how are the I wonder how much bacon they're eating,
not a lot. They don't eat a lot of bacon.
Probably none. It's not.
No, they don't dig. They don't dig swine.
No, it's dirty meat, which it
probably is. I mean,
it is. Yeah, it's not healthy for you.
Yeah, it's unclean according to the Quran. It's unclean.
Well, I mean,
and the Bible too, my friend.
Not healthy.
And the Bible.
And the Bible.
Yeah.
But it can be made kosher though. You can't. The cloven hoof, right, is what they call it. Is to not eat of the cloven hoof.
Right.
And
I think anything from the pork is probably not healthy for you, but
But
what does Satanists eat?
I'll be okay. I don't mind having a hot dog or a bratwurst every now and then.
Oh, bratwursts are fucking awesome if you get the good ones.
Yep.
Don't get the Aldi. Don't get the Aldi bratwursts. if you've got Aldi's over there, I'm not sure, Sean, but
no, we do.
Don't get one.
I'm a Johnsonville guy myself.
Yeah, those are not good. We tried them once,
or
one fucking time.
I'd say give it another chance, but but
I don't know.
If you got something more local that is locally produced, that's really the best.
Yeah, if we were in Wisconsin, oh my God, or up in northern Illinois, Skokie, right?
Yeah,
we're chicken people, but we don't eat our chickens. We just eat their eggs.
So let's move to the South region, gentlemen, where mostly chalk is held. First matchup, Houston survives Texas A&M, and they get kind of a hard to describe Duke team.
They sure look crisp, though.
They look crisp, but they don't quite have that Duke superior to you vibe. Now, do they?
Nah, I don't see that. But they're formidable, and they're crisp. They run their sets well. Their defense was pretty damn good. But I think Houston has got better defense, so I got to pick Houston in this game. I'm looking forward to Houston beating Duke because I just plainly, guys, I hate Duke.
You hate Duke, we know. Leitner ripped your heart out in 1992.
I hate Duke too.
You do too, because the Fab Five could never beat them.
No, I hated them before then. Although I probably get crucified for this. I actually like J.J. Redick now.
Wow, that is strange. Can you tell us why?
He's a good analyst.
He's very good.
He likes hot takes, though.
But he was like one of the, probably the most easily hated Duke player, but for who was the guy that was always tripping people?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I'm sure J.J. Redick is sending Grayson Allen Christmas cards every year.
Yeah. Grayson Allen, thank you. Yeah,
but Jason Williams was the most protected player by the refs in college basketball history, right? When they played Kentucky in Madison Square Garden, he was holding our point guard Hawkins' jersey coming through the lane the entire game. But if you got within 3 foot of Williams, it was a foul. Right? Not just in that game, in the Syracuse game, many others I saw while Jason Williams. And I felt that if he had not been in the motorcycle wreck and he had went to the Bulls, that he'd have been a minor player and he had a cup of coffee that would have been long for him.
So you're not easily biased against Duke. We got that established, Bob. Me, I'm lukewarm on Duke, but I just think looking at this matchup, I think Duke really is going to need the referee's help in this game because I don't think they're physical enough to match up with Houston.
They're not
at every level. So it's going to depend on if the refs have a light whistle or a heavy whistle, because Houston is just such a physically imposing team. They're way more athletic, particularly at the guard positions. I don't see how Duke can beat Houston unless they get some help from the officials and get a lot of trips to the foul line.
Man, you're right
And I
about that.
think
I'm going to
Duke
tell you
would have
why.
to really shoot well, which won't be easy.
Right, and Houston defends so well. I mean, they are on top of you as soon as you have the ball. They
Well,
move laterally so fast.
Now, here's why you're right about that. Krzyzewski is not there at Duke anymore. And the calls that they would have got out of respect for Coach Krzyzewski and his ability to work refs, they're not going to get. Kelvin Sampson's more likely to get those calls.
That's true. Shire won't get them.
Yeah, Shire's too new. He hasn't established anything. And like you said, Kelvin Sampson's got a program there. I just think Houston's too much for this Duke team.
I agree.
I certainly hope so.
All right, moving down.
And you got money on this one?
I haven't placed my bets yet. I bet I took the money line. I did not bet the first 4. I took the money line on all 48 underdogs the first 2 rounds.
Oh my goodness!
How'd that go?
Did you break even at least?
I lost 20 cents.
That's breaking even because it was worth that. It was worth 20 cents for the entertainment, right?
And not only that, out of 48 games, I lost well over 30, but the ones that I won on the money line made up for the losses. So
you're basically breaking even is how you're doing.
Yeah.
Which tells you don't quit your day job.
And no. Don't listen to Sean. Bet your house and you'll be a millionaire.
That's why I don't bet. I know I'd lose. I've used a lot of luck up in life, guys, just by surviving.
Unfortunately, BetMGM does not have equity lines of credit on their website. So.
You mean there's some that do? They have equity lines of credit?
Not.
For all those listening, we encourage you to game responsibly. Don't do what Ed does.
Yeah, not officially, right? It's just if you talk to the right people, right?
Remember, you have responsibilities in life that are bigger than college basketball.
Yeah.
All right. I'm either going to bring on a gambling guru as one of our sponsors, or a seek help for gambling guy. One of those.
There's probably more money in the gambling gurus because every day it seems like every sport is having a gambling kind of kerfuffle.
On all 48 games, I bet 50 cents.
Wow.
Okay, I like that. That's
because that way I'm invested enough that I want to watch and I want to win.
Right.
But if I don't win, I don't have to go up to my wife and
Ed,
say,
you're making me sad
"Can you have a
because
seat?"
I'm invested $10 in a bracket that I'm going to lose, and I don't care. But even if I didn't do that, I just love the game so much. If I had no money on it, I'm going to watch these games. They're just so exciting. They're entertaining. Are you upset simply because Michigan's not in? Is that why you don't think it's as exciting?
No, I'm into it now. I had a hard time getting into the regular season because Michigan and Maryland were not good. But no, the tournament's a big deal for me. Like it was a huge deal that both of my bosses were off last Friday. I was off Thursday. I always take the first 2 days off, but I didn't work Friday.
Yep,
so that was
same.
like
took Thursday, Friday off. Absolutely,
yeah.
Always.
I mean,
no,
not
that's why I try to.
out, requested off in advance, but working that Friday was just horrible.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with and the other thing that I do now that way, in case my team has been not in it a lot more than probably your guys' teams, but I like to watch. I'll pick a night during the week and watch we know how the conferences are tied into different television channels. I'll watch that one night. I'm going to watch Big Ten tonight. So I watch Big Ten. Another night I'm going to watch the ACC. And then some of these other smaller conference, I'm going to watch the Atlantic 10 tonight and check out the Atlantic 10. Now, by the way, I had no idea and no foresight to think that Duquesne, who was middle of the road in the Atlantic 10 the whole season, would go on a run in the Atlantic 10 tournament and steal that bid. Albeit, I think Dayton got one other bid from that conference, which, by the way, The Atlantic 10 probably deserved 3 bids, not 2, but that's a conversation for another day. But Duquesne upset BYU in the 11-6. And then, unfortunately, the talent disparity, they ran into Illinois and they lost. But
so, true story. We got a guy that comes into the sports book, and he's a runner. He places bets for other people. We haven't proved it, but we know it's true, and they're not supposed to do that. And he's also a drug dealer. So he comes in and he's doing a parlay, and he's like, and he doesn't know anything about sports. He's like, Duquesne. And I said, it's Duquesne. Just think about what you're doing after you place the bets.
Okay, so which one do y'all know more? I mean, is he running bets, or is he dealing drugs, or which one are you more confident of saying?
The running of the bets, only because he can't pronounce.
Okay, so he may have never sold a drug in his life, right?
Probably
it's possible.
Not. It's
okay.
possible.
Okay.
So moving down, we have the 2 seed Marquette, who now, with the reemergence of a healthy Tyler Kolek, or Kolek, depending on your pronunciation, has blitzed through their first 2 games. They got Western Kentucky, who they handled easily, and then squeaked by Colorado. They get a very overseeded NC State, who is an 11 seed, really should have been probably a 6 or a 5 with the way they're playing. NC State against Marquette, and I love the front court battle in this game. DJ Burns against Oso Ighodaro. I think that's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, you can't seed a team with 14 losses at 6, no matter how hot they are. I'm riding NC State. I'm feeling the burn.
You're feeling the burn. You love DJ. I love DJ Burns because, one, for a big man, he moves so smooth. And number 2, for a big man, he distributes the basketball. He finds guys that are open. He must have a set of eyes in the back of his head because he finds guys open that you wouldn't think he could find, and he finds them, and he's crisp with his passing.
I'm waiting for him to flip it over his shoulder.
I love him too, but he is a defensive and a rebounding liability.
I would expect him to rebound a little better. I agree with you there, but I mean, on offense, he's a problem.
Yeah, he's hell offensive
player. Because you don't see post moves like that anymore. You see a guy like Edey who's 9 feet tall and shoots over everybody. This guy, he does the fakes, he does the footwork.
He's smooth. He is so smooth.
Well, that's what they got to do to win, guys. Is he's got to get their guys in foul trouble. He's got to cause that chaos down low on the offensive end, so that Marquette will have their guys in foul trouble. But otherwise, man, like you're saying, that now that he's back for Marquette, man, that guy's a hell of a guard. And
did you see him dribble like completely around the lane like twice before he finally hit that little baby hook shot?
Because he's not that tall for a post player, so he's gotta create space.
No, but but by doing that, he was like, the defense was confused, like they didn't know where to go. Like,
right. Well, he does creates his shot after he makes his moves.
Yeah, no, he's exciting. I mean, I think it's going to depend on Kolek's play and whoever's defending him for NC State. If NC State can stop Tyler Kolek, I think they'll win this game. If they can't, I think Marquette wins the game.
That's how I see it as well.
But I think this is probably, other than the Illinois-Iowa State matchup, my favorite matchup of the Sweet 16. The NC State.
I'm not confident in Marquette's ability to play a complete game for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think the TV timeouts is going to help both teams in this case.
I think it's going to be down to the wire. I think it'll be whoever.
Yeah, I agree.
And Marquette was able to develop other guards during Koki's absence, right?
Absolutely. Cam Williams, I think his name is.
Yes, so that was a big help.
Cam Jones.
Cam Jones, that's right. They were able to develop him. He got some valuable minutes, and so that's going to help them in case that they get the bench and start getting thin.
All right, so let's run around the circle. Ed, who do you got winning this game?
Marquette, NC State?
Yes.
NC State.
Okay. Bob?
I got, about as I hate to say it, I got Marquette.
Doug, who do you like?
I think we lost him for a minute, so
I lost Doug.
We'll say he's neutral.
He's neutral. I'm gonna take Marquette. I think we all took Houston against Duke, did we not?
Yes.
Ed?
I lean Houston, but
okay,
I'm not.
That's fine. You're not in love with it. That's fine. I'm going to take Houston as well. Okay, one last region, gentlemen, and this is probably the most exciting region, at least for me. We'll start at the top. They didn't choke this year. They got to the Sweet 16. The Big Ten regular season champion Purdue Boilermakers.
Oh man, he is looking so strong. Edie is, and they've been blowing teams out. They might convert me because I'm like, well, they just keep blowing all these teams out. But I like Gonzaga is very compelling to me in this game because unlike all the years where they had all the hype and so on and so forth, they've quietly put together a nice run here.
Gonzaga coming in with no hype, flying under the radar. They took care of a lot of people's favorite Cinderella story, which was McNeese State, pretty handily too, by 21. And then they beat Kansas. Albeit Kansas was down a guy in what was that? McCullers.
Blew them out.
But Purdue has blown out their two opponents. They blew out Grambling by 28, and then they blew out Utah State. Utah State was a good team. They beat them by almost 40.
That's amazing.
So, do you like the power of Edie, or do you like the upstart kind of unheralded Gonzaga team?
I think it's a great story.
War like the Illinois Iowa State game. I lean ever slightly toward Purdue, but a Gonzaga win would not surprise me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I mean, it's just hard to pick because this could be Gonzaga's year, but for Purdue,
now, does it help either of you gentlemen? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bob. Does it help either of you gentlemen that Purdue, I believe, beat Gonzaga by 9 in the Maui Invitational back in November? Does that do anything for you?
Means nothing.
I think
agree.
It's helpful for Gonzaga in terms of how they might play and how they might coach against Purdue.
I think I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take Gonzaga to get to the Elite Eight. I think Mark Few has a little bit more experience in the tournament than Matt Painter. I think and we saw the kind of formula that Wisconsin employed to beat Purdue in the Big Ten tournament. You can let Edie have his. But if you shut down their wings, you can beat them.
Tiggy agrees with you, Sean.
Athletic.
Well, Tiggy's got a lot of teams, but I'm sure he does. But I think that's the formula. Remember, Wisconsin, what they did, they let Edie eat, and he did eat. But he was the only player in double figures in points in that Big 10 semifinal game. So if you keep Fletcher Lawyer and the other guard escapes his name right now, but if you keep them under wraps and don't really let them explode, that's kind of a formula to beat Purdue.
Yeah, I think they could do it. Then Gonzaga plays good team defense better than I expected. I wasn't impressed with them last year because their stars were undersized in terms of muscle, and they were getting pushed around a little bit, and they didn't really want to battle inside, and that's why I didn't have any confidence with them. But they seem to be more well balanced. They don't really have any stars at Gonzaga per se compared to last year, but they were really cohesive on defense, and that's a good prescription to win a basketball game in the tournament.
What will definitely help Gonzaga in this game is when Graham Ike is in there against Zach Edey. If he can keep out of foul trouble, the Zags will have a shot for sure all the way to the end. If Ike gets in foul trouble, they don't have really depth behind him, which is shocking for Gonzaga because usually they have decent depth. This year they kind of don't. So if Ike can stay out of foul trouble, I think Gonzaga is going to be a real problem for Purdue in this game.
Edie gets a lot of calls.
He does. Well, I mean, he's going to be the back-to-back Wooden Award winner, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of respect in that. So they're going to give him. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt. But on the other hand, you can get a guy like that off his game if he challenges him early. in the possession to where he's able to push him out near the perimeter without losing contact with him, he might wear him down, or he might, or frustrated where he starts pushing Elkie around and get some stupid fouls, and that's what Gonzaga is going to hope for.
Definitely going to be a very pro Purdue crowd there in Detroit. Not a far trip from West Lafayette up to Detroit. So I expect the black and gold faithful to be in full force, and Ed will welcome them with open arms, of course.
I don't think that's going to bother Gonzaga.
No, if they went into Rupp, no offense, Bob, they did. They went into Rupp earlier this year.
And
they
beat
won
us.
There.
What's left, Sean?
Gonzaga's
Creighton and Tennessee. We got to talk about Creighton and Tennessee.
We are. So this is the last game of the Sweet 16. This is it. It's Creighton, Tennessee. This is an exciting, interesting game. I told you guys from the beginning when we started doing this that a Sweet 16 berth was all I wanted after the run we had last year. So everything after this is just gravy. And I'll tell you what, I was sweating like nobody was sweating on Saturday night because Oregon had us dead to rights.
But there was a reason for that, Sean. And the reason that Creighton was in trouble early with Oregon is because Creighton wasn't really running sets. They were running ISOs for individual players. And they didn't really run any sets. They didn't create open shots for their guys and didn't hardly have any motion. And individual guys were ISOing it. It was just whoever ended up with the ball, they would either go to the rim or set third defender up for a shot. If they could have some ball movement, they could beat Tennessee. And I believe the Connect can be defended well by Creighton. So they got to stop Ziegler. Well, and Alexander's a hell of a player. It's possible he can, but Ziegler's defense is top notch, and Tennessee's defense is top notch overall. So for Creighton to beat Tennessee, and I believe they can, because I believe they actually match up talent wise on the first line, that is, and so they have to have ball movement.
I definitely agree with you on that. The ball movement was poor at the onset against Oregon. But I will add to this. We talk about feast or famine from three. First half, Creighton was 4 of 20 from three. That you won't win a lot of games going 4 for 20 from three. They picked it up a little bit in the second half, and then really when the three ball finally started to drop for them was in that second overtime, and you saw them stretch it out. They won the game by 13. But if Creighton's not hitting the three ball against Tennessee, it could be a long night, because I think Tennessee is better in the front court. They're more physical in the low block, regardless of whether Connect is hitting or not. I mean, if we take Connect out of the game, great. If Tennessee dominates the front court, the points in the paint, that's going to be a problem for Creighton. So this is another one of those games where I think the referees are going to play a significant factor. Is it a light whistle or is it a heavy whistle?
They've never really given much. They've never really given much to Barnes. I mean, he had teams with the Player of the Year when he had Augustine and who's one of the NBA, such a big superstar.
When he had Kevin Durant down in Texas.
Yeah, right? Durant. When they had Durant and Augustine, they had the Player of the Year on the team, and they didn't give him any calls whatsoever. And so Creighton does have to hit. But they proved that when they do have ball movement, they will hit, and that'll raise their percentage against Tennessee. And I believe Tennessee can out rebound Creighton, so they have to have a great shooting night. But to do that, they got to move the ball. If they do move the ball, well, they showed, like you said, that when they finally got the game into overtime, and then they finally opened up in the second overtime, that when they move the ball and they're able to get guys free, they can hit.
So to me, for this game, for Creighton to win, I'm going to put it in a similar category as that regular season game against UConn. I think Creighton's three-point shooters are going to have a hell of a night to beat Tennessee. I think we're going to have to be at least over 40% from three to win this game, because top to bottom, Tennessee's roster is better than ours. And if we don't, I like Tennessee. People go, well, they got bounced quick in the SEC tournament. All that did to me was give them more rest and got them refocused.
That's the reason I'm picking Tennessee in this game.
That's why I'm picking them too.
Because they got bounced.
Yeah. No, I like Tennessee in this game. I'm obviously I'm a diehard Blue Jay. I hope the Blue Jays win. But like I said, a Sweet 16 run this year was about what I expected. So I like the Vols to get it done, and then we might get a Gonzaga Tennessee Elite Eight. That would be great. But if we get a Purdue Tennessee Elite Eight, that would be great too. I think the Midwest region has probably been my favorite region to watch thus far in this tournament.
Yeah, it's
hardest
good.
one to predict, I think.
And it's probably, I mean, though the Tennessee-Texas game, that's going to be a conference game next year. We saw a dandy. It was a 4-point win for Tennessee. That was a great game. That was an absolutely great game. So, I mean, and we'll talk Elite Eight and Final Four next week. But
yeah, so when will that be, guys? Sean, you're the guy that knows all the schedules. When should we do this next show?
I would say Tuesday again next week. I think
Tuesday.
I mean,
Tuesday it is.
Unless Monday works for the gents, because that'll be more of an instant react.
So, Bob?
Either one's good for me, but keep in mind, I think the second game Sunday tips around 5. So,
yeah, but no, he said Monday, right?
I mean, it depends on the guys that are in the Eastern time zone, because that 5 o'clock game on Sunday will get done around 8 o'clock Eastern. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we could do a late Sunday, but that's up to Doug's. I mean,
if we did a 9 p.m. Sunday, it'd work out better for me.
It's absolutely not it's not important to me. Sunday is fine with me.
Sunday night would probably be best for all of us. That way we get immediate, instant react.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, shout out to Jen Chavez. Creighton gets it done in the final seconds.
Oh, Jen and I've been talking. Hopefully we'll make a friendly bet on it. But I picked Tennessee, so if they lose, well,
All right. So here's the deal: if Tennessee wins, Jen Chavez comes on next episode.
There you go.
Jen's been doing better than me in our bracket, so she knows her basketball.
She's cheating off of somebody's fucking bracket. You know she is.
So will her avatar be an angry face, or is she going to show her face?
I mean, she's got a lot of angry faces, and she's got a variety of them.
Oh yeah.
No, she's been great, and I think Tennessee has a really good team this year. They do. I mean, that Dalton Connect is an incredible player. What a pickup, by the way! Wasn't he at Northern Colorado last year?
Oh yeah, he's just been amazing.
It just tells you what the transfer portal is doing. I mean, another one, for Creighton is Baylor Shireman. He was at South Dakota State.
So I want to say this real quick before we go. There's a lot of people. No, sorry. There's some people who think that Jen Chavez is Andrea Charles, and it's definitely not. It's actually her sister, right? It's her sister, and it's for real. Because I've been knowing it for a while.
But they're diehard Vol fans. I think
they are, and I haven't seen Andrea Charles block me a long time ago. So, but her sister has not.
We all have passion for our teams, but in March Madness, just like the Super Bowl in the NFL, only one team gets to smile at the end and hear one shining moment.
Yep.
And it's the best tournament in the world for a reason. You got to be perfect for 2 games for 3 weekends. I mean, that's,
okay. So 9 Eastern Sunday.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll see you fellas then.
All righty.
All right, Jen.
Night, everybody.